For those who do not know, De'Aaron Fox was just extended with the San Antonio Spurs for a 4-year deal for $229 million, making that to be just over $57 million a season. De'Aaron Fox is coming off a season where he averaged 23 points per game and 6 assists, and he also averaged about a 56% true shooting through his entire season. But with the San Antonio Spurs, he averaged about 20 points per game on a 54% true shooting. And if anything, the San Antonio Spurs drafted Stephon Castle with the 5th pick in the draft in 2024. They draft Dylan Harper with the 2nd pick in 2025, and they trade for De'Aaron Fox halfway through the NBA season, and we can't forget about Devin Vassell. So today's goal in this video is to find out what are the San Antonio Spurs exactly doing with this rotation of guards, and who can we expect to be around in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new episode of At the Buzzer Sports, where we talk all things basketball all the time. My name is John Drummond, and for those who do not know, De'Aaron Fox was just extended by the San Antonio Spurs. So today we're going to talk about how good is De'Aaron Fox really? Is he worth $57 million a year? What's the Spurs' plans with Dylan Harper? And we're going to talk about the entire situation in its entirety. And the first thing I want to talk about is De'Aaron Fox. I do think De'Aaron Fox is a good player. That's one thing I want to get started with early, because I've had some comments about De'Aaron Fox. I know I made a multitude of videos on why I think De'Aaron Fox isn't as good as some people say, but I do think De'Aaron Fox is still an all-star caliber point guard. And the only thing that I would say kind of rubs me the wrong way with this deal is obviously the drafting of Stephon Castle and Dylan Harper, and I don't think De'Aaron Fox is worth $57 million. Now, on face value, when you look at De'Aaron Fox's game, you see a ultra athletic point guard who can get to the rim, who can run in transition, can pass, and can hit a pull-up mid-range shot. But when I look at De'Aaron Fox's game, I don't see the getting to the rim as we used to see it. If we look at De'Aaron Fox's percentages over the past few seasons, he got to the restricted area 24% of his shots in his rookie season, all the way up to 28% in his second season, 31 in his third, down to 23 in 2021, down to 19 in 21-22, down to 17 in 22-23, down to 13 in 23-24, and then this season, he rounded it about to be 16%. Now, this isn't always the worst thing in the world, because if you look at De'Aaron Fox's attempts or percentages of his shots at the restricted area in Sacramento, it would say 14%. But in San Antonio, it would say 21%. And I think a lot of that has to do with how his two-man game can work with Victor Wembanyama. I do think there is a pick and roll game that could be really valuable between the two players, but I don't think De'Aaron Fox is going to be able to fully maximize that action unless he gets to the rim consistently, because let's take a look at his mid-range numbers. From his second season to now, his mid-range attempts or percentage of attempts have really gone up. From 10 to 16 feet, he was shooting 12% of his shots from there, then 13%, then 15%, then 19%, then 19 again, to 17, then all the way to 15 the following season. And if we look at these percentages, in his second season, 39, third season, 39, then you have 48, 46, 48, 42, 47, which is all relatively good shots for De'Aaron Fox. But then again, if we look at his 3 to 10 feet, which would be just outside the restricted area or in the paint non-restricted area, in his second season, 25%, third season, 26, 23, 26, 25, 24, 25, 27 in his stint with Sacramento, and 18% in his stint with San Antonio. And this is where I think De'Aaron Fox can be extremely effective. I think De'Aaron Fox getting downhill all the way, or having a floater game that he can go to, or just get better as an interior passer could truly unlock what Victor Wembanyama and De'Aaron Fox are trying to do. I do think De'Aaron Fox has an amazing catch radius. I think him getting better as a lob passer could be very, very valuable to what the San Antonio Spurs are trying to do. I also think Victor Wembanyama could be a really good pick and pop player and be able to attack closeouts with his increase of ball handling that we've seen over the past season. And to be completely honest, De'Aaron Fox is one of the better volume scorers at the guard position. Do I think he's top 5? No. Do I think he's top 10 if we put point guards and shooting guards together? Probably not. But De'Aaron Fox knows how to put numbers on the board, and he knows how to bleed the defense. I think we've seen it multiple years, and I still am optimistic on how he can play next to Victor Wembanyama if we take a look at some of the percentages from 3, from mid-range going down, and some of the percentages of his shots in the restricted area going up. And my biggest question to that would be, how is the three-point shooting going to look around the San Antonio Spurs, especially around this duo? Will Stephon Castle be able to knock down shots consistently? Will Harrison Barnes? Will Carter Bryant? Will Champagnie? Will these guys be able to knock down shots consistently so guys won't be able to tag Victor Wembanyama as a roller? Guys won't be able to blitz without someone recovering. Those are the type of things that I would look at in a De'Aaron Fox-Victor Wembanyama duo. And now this is where I want to move into the Stephon Castle and Devin Vassell part of the video. Do I think these guys should be worried about De'Aaron Fox getting extended? I don't think any of these guys should necessarily be worried. I think Stephon Castle and Devin Vassell were always built to be the off guard. I don't think Stephon Castle was going to be the lead guard for the San Antonio Spurs team, and I don't think Devin Vassell was going to be taking on any point guard responsibilities for the San Antonio Spurs team. It's just, I think Stephon Castle fits next to either one of them, whether it's De'Aaron Fox or Dylan Harper. We're going to talk about Dylan Harper in just a second, but this is just where it gets a little tricky for me, because let's say Dylan Harper becomes everything you think he can be by 26-27 season. By the 26-27 season, Dylan Harper finishes that year averaging 19, 5, and 5. And he looks like he can be a true all-star if you give him the start next year. Will De'Aaron Fox still be playing at the level that could give other teams the opportunity to say, you know what, let's take on this money, let's trade for De'Aaron Fox? And I think that's the biggest question, because I do think the San Antonio Spurs and Victor Wembanyama especially is good enough to compete now and to make a playoff spot. Do I think Victor Wembanyama is good enough right now to be the number one on a championship team? Maybe not. If Victor Wembanyama has to be leaned on as a number one scorer, as guys like SGA, Anthony Edwards, Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, I don't think the Spurs will get a lot of success in that aspect. I think Victor Wembanyama struggles to attack mismatches. That's why we see a lot of wings guarding him, especially earlier in the season. You could put J-Dub on him. You could put Caruso on him. You could put Dylan Brooks on him. You could put PJ Washington or Najee Marshall on him, because he does not have the strength, or from the last time I've seen him, he has not had the strength to attack those mismatches. So a counter that they would go to would, do not put the ball on the floor at all when you're at the elbow and shoot those contested mid-ranges, which do fall. But with the lack of shooting in San Antonio, I just don't think having a full playoff series of Victor Wembanyama shooting contested mid-range shots is going to be the answer to much playoff success. So that would lead me into saying Victor Wembanyama is still 21 or 22 years old. I do not 100% know how old he is, whether it's 21, 22, or maybe even 20 years old. I still think that the timeline is Steph, Harper, Carter Bryant. That's where I've always been on. I've never thought you should trade the number 2 pick. I never thought you should have extended De'Aaron Fox. I think you should build with this core. And one thing that I saw was this deal expires once Dylan Harper is ready for his rookie extension. So I can understand maybe, especially with the Spurs losing out on Chris Paul, wanting to have a veteran point guard around a Dylan Harper and a Stephon Castle. I can understand that, but is it worth $57 million? And right now, I think that is truly the $57 million question. Is De'Aaron Fox going to be able to play at a level where his contract could explain him making $57 million? And truly, I think De'Aaron Fox is a fantastic player. I don't think me not having him in my top 10 point guards should be really valued, just because I think there are multiple top 10 point guards in the NBA. Guys like LaMelo Ball and De'Aaron Fox may not make my top 10, but they are top 10 caliber point guards in the NBA. But again, I think the biggest question here is De'Aaron Fox going to play to the level at $57 million? And is Dylan Harper going to be able to sit behind $57 million a year? It's going to be really hard to justify benching the guy that's making $57 million a year if Dylan Harper is playing to the level that we think he can. And I don't think these guys can play next to each other either. I think Dylan Harper has some moments where he looks good off the ball, especially in college, running off pin downs and having inbound plays called for him. But I don't think Dylan Harper should be an off-ball type of player. I think Dylan Harper should be the guy that has the ball in his hand, that has a really good mid-range pull-up. I know the numbers don't show that, but I do think he has a really good feel as a pull-up mid-range shooter. Somebody that can get to the basket, somebody that can finish over taller players, somebody that can finish at different angles, that has a floater, has a maneuver through contact, can get to the free throw line extremely well. He was averaging about 6 free throws per game in the collegiate level. So I do think Dylan Harper should have the ball in his hand. But as of right now, De'Aaron Fox is the better player. So it questions me. Is this a move that shores up De'Aaron Fox because the Spurs may not love what they've seen from Dylan Harper so far? Maybe. I wouldn't say that. That wouldn't be the thing that I necessarily lean on 100%, but I do think that's a possibility. And does De'Aaron Fox being around for the next 4 years stunt Dylan Harper's growth? How much do you think Dylan Harper's going to be able to start over the next 2 seasons? And I do think this might be the best time to let Dylan Harper get as much minutes as possible. I'm one of the people that believe some growth is literally just letting these guys play. I think the San Antonio Spurs are going to be looking to contend very soon. And I don't think Dylan Harper should be having his first year as the starting point guard as soon as Victor Wembanyama becomes that top 3 to 5 player in the league and the Spurs are looking to make a finals run. So all in all, I do believe De'Aaron Fox is a really good player. In this situation, I don't know if the San Antonio Spurs should have given him $57 million a year. I can understand if the Sacramento Kings would have given him $57 million a year because they need superstar talent or they need star talent. But I do think that there is a timeline here, and I just don't think De'Aaron Fox fits that the best, and I damn sure don't think he should have been making $57 million a year. De'Aaron Fox is a fantastic player, and hey, get your money. I don't want this to make it seem like, oh, he shouldn't have that money. You know, he shouldn't be making all this money and I got to go work on airplanes for a living. I think De'Aaron Fox should make all the money he should. But ladies and gentlemen, if you guys like this type of content, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time. Peace.